A move by the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, to ban certain food dyes is being celebrated by health advocates and parents all across the country.
Yeah, but it may be too soon for applause. A recent Supreme Court reversal of a decades-old doctrine could lead to issues for this rule and others in the future.
All right, so this is called the Chevron Doctrine. It gives federal agencies the ability to make decisions on federal laws. If a law on clean air is confusing, for example, experts from the EPA would then have the ability to clear up exactly what that means.
All right, well, federal judges who may have no expertise on a certain topic like clean air, food dyes, clean water, they're the ones left to make these decisions. Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes is here to clear some things up for us this morning to talk about the issues and what this Chevron doctrine is all about. I feel like we're like in this age where maybe whether it's clean air, healthy food, safe water, all these things, it's coming down instead of experts in the field and science. It's based on a judge's ruling.
Well, let's go back. The Chevron Doctrine, while it does give them authority to do a number of things that you guys mentioned, it also, the biggest thing is its deference. It's deferring to where something is ambiguous, where something is confusing, where something is, okay, we don't understand. The courts have in the past, before Chevron was struck down, would defer to the agencies, the government agencies that have authority, that do this day to day. So the FDA and folks like that, they say, all right, this is your space, this is your wheelhouse. If this is ambiguous, if people don't understand how to implement it, we'll defer to whatever your ruling is, and that will be the baseline. And then you'll have to overcome, you as the challenger, the petitioner, will have to overcome what they're saying is accurate. Chevron now being struck down, and now we're saying that all parties are coming equal. So if it's ambiguous, we're not going to give them deference. We're going to allow them to have to make their argument as in the FDA, and the petitioner will make their argument, and then we'll take them both at equal footing. That's the biggest thing that came from Chevron. These agencies already have the discretionary ability to do rulemaking. They are both rulemaking and judicial, in fact. So if a person is breaking a violation, they will go out and enforce it. But they'll also write the rules to ensure they know what the standards are. Congress has already given all these alphabet soup of agencies that authority. Chevron just basically says, now, if it's confusing, we'll defer to you.
Okay, so with what the court ruled recently, what does this mean in terms of the FDA saying, hey, we're going to get rid of these artificial food dyes, and everyone's like, not so fast? What happens now?
I think that it still is there. I mean, if they make a rulemaking policy, there'll be a public comment section, so you'll have that opportunity to be heard. After the public comment section that passes, then the rule will become an official rule. They'll take input for the public. If they were like, hey, we wanted to do A, you guys said we should do A1, they'll make the change, and then that now will become what the rule is. But then when someone challenged it, say someone says, you know what, I don't like what you guys said about food red dye A. I want to be able to use this, and I have scientific evidence to support this. And then when we go to court, that's when I think you'll see the implementation of what the Supreme Court has said. They will now say, well, now FDA, prove to me why this should be something that's supported. Petitioner, prove to me why this should be struck down. And it will be starting at the same pace as opposed to in the past, the FDA would have had a head start, and the court would have said, okay, I'm siding with them regardless. You have to now shift my mindset to agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, prove to me, I understand that, but Khalif, right, the Supreme Court judges, they are the expert on constitutional law, right? That's why you defer to them on constitutional law. This is not their subject of expertise, so how does that shift things? Because you're trying to convince people who may not have a lot of knowledge on that subject. How is that all going to work out?
Well, the shift is, the mental shift is that they're saying that the standard, the burden is shifted. The biggest way I can look at this is it's like the criminal justice system. Whenever a person is charged with a crime, the burden is on the prosecutor to prove that that person is guilty. So when I'm a defense attorney, I can sit there and say absolutely nothing. And if the state fails to meet their burden, my client is going to walk. Well, in these same situations, that was the case, that the FDA was the defendant. They didn't have to prove anything. They could just sit there, and if the petitioner couldn't come and couldn't prove anything, Chevron Doctrine, prior to the Supreme Court's ruling, would have said that the courts would have had to rule in favor of the agencies. Now they don't have to do that. Now the FDA or any of these other alphabet agencies will have to prove why they went that direction, and so it's really only shifting the burden from a place where they didn't have to do anything. Well, now they have to show up to the position.
So as far as the long-term consequences, FDA, EPA, NOAA, do they need to be, I don't know, almost preparing for for years to come on, like you said, well, we may now have to defend our scientific evidence with why we make certain decisions.
100%. And in these type of hearings, they were already doing that. So they're already going to come, like even if we're going to make the criminal defense analogy, I'm going to come and be prepared.
Right.
I'm going to have my client ready to testify if he has to. And that's that if he has to part. Now, if they haven't said anything that requires me to bring my client on the stand, I'm not putting them on the stand. And that's the same way with the EPA or the FDA. They're saying, look, FDA, I should say, why would I bring my expert to come and talk if they failed to prove their standard? Now they're bringing their expert from the very beginning. So these things are already there in the background. It's really just strategy. How am I attacking this case? Because people are going to challenge any of their rulemaking. They have challenged them for years. Now it's just more strategy. So what is this going to end up doing? Costing litigation to be longer. Because if I have to bring in experts, now I'm going to have to prepare those experts. I have to fly them in. I have to do more interrogatories and more depositions with them. The cost of litigation in these type of settings will instantly go up.
All right, very interesting. I know there's a lot of news swirling around for health issues. A lot of people excited about this, and it's just kind of changing the way that things might get passed. So, Khalif, we're going to keep an eye on it and appreciate your insight into that.